Ella es Kaiann Drance, vicepresidenta de marketing global de iPhone en Apple. Seguramente la has visto en los eventos de iPhone explicando todas las novedades, pero detrás de las cámaras hace mucho más. Históricamente, Apple ha tenido un marketing increíble y tuve la oportunidad de entrevistarla para preguntarle esas cosas que siempre quise saber de un ejecutivo de la compañía. Lleva más de 15 años en Apple, así que sin duda va a poder resolver todas mis dudas. Para esta entrevista exclusiva me acompañó mi amigo Beto Pasillas y la grabamos en la tienda de Antara, en la Ciudad de México. Y yo estaba bien emocionado porque fue la primera vez que tuve la oportunidad de entrevistar a un ejecutivo de Apple. Preparé unas preguntas que yo considero son bastante buenas y varias de las respuestas me sorprendieron. Pero bueno, espero disfrutes esta conversación.
Kaiann, first of all, it's a pleasure to be talking with you and my good friend Santos. We have some questions. And it will be a pleasure to...
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And you were mentioning it's your first time in Antara,
yes.
where we're filming, which is a really cool Apple store here in Mexico City. So thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. I'm glad we were able to use the space.
I love documenting my life, and there are times where I need to record or take photo as quickly as possible to capture that real moment. That's why the camera control helps me so much to just click and turn on the camera. How important was the feedback from photographers and filmmakers during the design of the camera control?
Sure, yeah, well, the great part is that we're constantly gathering feedback from the creative community, photographers, filmmakers, folks like yourselves and how you use it in your professional work. And a lot of that feeds into how we think about things like what are that next level of features within camera control, right? So for everyday people, we love it that you can just quickly take a photo, press hold, take a video, but then you have that next layer of sort of more pro level capabilities and how we integrate that with third-party applications too. And that allows even more professional tools to feed in. So we see what kind of tools people are using, reach out to those engaged developers to create even more capabilities for those users.
That's really cool. I recently, with the newest update, you can now use the auto focus on the camera control, and I find that really, really useful. What I wanted to ask about the camera control and photographic styles as well, which is another new thing with the iPhone 16. What drives the focus on camera features as a cornerstone of the iPhone story? And how do you think these imaging advancements actually help the final user?
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably hear us say a lot that the most important camera is the one that you have with you. And we see every day how, from everyday people to professionals, how important the camera is. You know, first for photography, you know, now more and so with video, more creative capabilities, even with the audio, with the video. And so we've really focused on that to make sure that these everyday benefits are going to be there through the camera. I love that you brought up Photographic Styles because it's been part of sort of a long-standing effort that we have to make sure everybody looks great in photos and everybody's happy with that. What we found with research through many different parts of the world is that there's not a one-size-fits-all solution, right? And how you see it might be different than how I see it, and we want to enable people to have those tools through Photographic Styles, where we picked a set of styles that we think are really representative of people around the world, and they can pick the one that's best for them. But we take it a step further, where you can customize it with that new easy interface, and that's what we would love people to be able to use that and unlock, you know, even more fun in how they show up in photographs, but of course making sure they're showing up in the way that they want to be seen.
Yeah, skin tones in particular,
exactly.
right? That's
very important. Skin tones, and there's so much nuance to that, and the lighting and where you are, that's a big part of that effort.
Cool.
Okay, Kaiann, if you had to choose your favorite lens from the camera iPhone 16, which one will it be and why?
Yeah, so I would have to say, because of its versatility, is the 48 megapixel fusion lens, right? So you can get, you know, on the Pro camera system, you can do 24, 28, 35 millimeters. You can change the setting. You get the high resolution. You can shoot Pro RAW. You can do 24 megapixels every day. I got the 2x telephoto, which is the 48 millimeter equivalent. Like, it can do like everything, right? So that is the one if I had to pick. If I was able to pick another second runner up, I think it's an ultra wide, right? Because it allows more creative options. I use it in video a lot. I can, you know, and indoors, many times I cannot stand back, so I can use that 0.5 to capture more of a scene where I physically cannot with another lens.
I love the ultra wide, especially like for pictures, for selfies. I like when I'm with some people, like here I was with Ariana Grande. And
Oh, nice. Oh, wow.
And it's always like my go-to like lens, so I can get everyone on the picture, you know.
Yeah.
So you do it backwards?
Yeah.
Yep,
Backwards.
we see people doing that for sure.
I've seen that trend as well. That they love that ultra wide selfie. It's really cool.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's the feeling of taking a selfie. It's like different. It hits different. Like I don't know, people like it better.
Yeah, and that's also great because, you know, we will put out a capability, and sometimes it's very delightful to see what people do with it. And I think that's where a lot of the magic happens, is like the people using it, our users, the creative community. That's where you really see the product elevated even more, and that drives us a lot for future inspiration as well. So now we say, oh wow, that's a use case of the ultra wide. People look at how they're taking macro, but look at how they're doing that socially, right? And so it makes us think about, well, where else can we take the future technology, knowing how people are using it today?
Nice. And talking about camera control and these new features, Apple's marketing often highlights like new groundbreaking features while also maintaining a sense of continuity and familiarity. I admire Apple's marketing in that aspect. How do you strike that balance between introducing transformative innovation but still keeping it comfortable with the iPhone that people love?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. It's definitely an important consideration. And I think it's important for us as we introduce new things, we think about the journey that we're taking our users on, right? So that can mean things like, hey, we're introducing this year, but we know in 2 years we're going to go in this direction. So we want to be mindful of the step functions we take to get a user to that place. I think a great example of this practically is Action Button. Right? We had the ringer switch there for so many years with a single purpose, right? And that's really important space on your iPhone. And so we saw this opportunity to let you customize, do more, from things like using it for camera all the way to using it for custom shortcuts, right? To launch apps that you like. But we started with, you still have it as a ringer switch if that's what you desire, right? But we have ways in software to control that. But for people who are very comfortable with that, that can be their starting point. But then of course they have the option to do even more with the vision that we had for Action Button, even now going to, with intelligence, using it for other things, you know, shortcuts and apps and everything that you want to do, but then going back to, hey, it's still a ringer switch if you like.
Right. I enjoy that because I see people like my grandparents that are so used to like buttons being where they are. So it's still good that there's that option. Then there's other guys like me, we're a bit more intense. We like to customize and get in there and do all these settings changes. So it's nice that there's that versatility.
Great.
Here goes a fun question.
Okay.
I think. If you had to describe the iPhone 16 in 3 emojis, which one would you choose?
Wow.
This is a very fun question. You know, I obviously with Apple Intelligence eventually coming everywhere, like the Genmoji feature is going to make that a lot easier, and you're going to be able to describe different things that you envision the iPhone to be and having it showing up. If I had to pick from the traditional set, I think I would start with the Rocket chip because of the powerhouse that is the A18 family of chip, the Apple Silicon propelling you for performance now into the future. I would pick camera. There's a few sort of camera creative apps, so maybe your icon of choice or your emoji of choice, but that I think based on what we've talked about. And then if I had to pick a third one, I would probably go with the mind blown emoji because
that's a good one.
Even though I've worked on phone for a long time, my mind is still blown every year as we look at more and more capabilities that we bring, how it just infuses into your everyday life and enables you to be so much more than who you are without it. And I hope that we can continue, you know, making true to that statement.
Wow, great choices.
Thank you.
I was wondering, being vice president of marketing at a global scale must be slightly intimidating, but also a fun job. How do you ensure that Apple's global marketing retains a consistent brand identity while still connecting meaningfully with local audiences and unique preferences? Like here in Mexico, there's cultural nuances, language, different types of how we speak and all of these things. How do you ensure that it keeps consistent?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so of course the global consistency and what we want to say about products like iPhone are very important to have that. And the good news for us for iPhone is there's a lot of universal love and utility for what iPhone is. So there's a very strong baseline that's very common around the world. But fortunately, we have fantastic local teams like the ones that I'm visiting here this week, who kind of keep us really attuned to what are these local nuances, cultural trends, differences in behavior that maybe while they're using the same features as everyone else around the world, how it shows up in their life may differ, right? And Photographic Styles is an example of where we really need to understand, what preferences for styles and photography was around the world. And we also rely on the voices of our local community, whether it's our customers coming into retail or talking to our support teams, the photographers and filmmakers and creatives that we meet, folks such as yourselves who are very connected to that community as well. These are a lot of the outlets of how we get that, and it enables us to do things that we hope are culturally more pertinent, right? So we've done some really wonderful shot on iPhone work the last couple of years in Mexico that I've found very wonderful myself.
They're beautiful. I've seen them and they're great.
Thank you. The team has worked so hard on that, and we want to make sure we're speaking to the audience in a genuine way. And I was mentioning earlier that I just went to the National Museum of Anthropology because we recently did that work with the 60th anniversary, having these incredible local photographers with their creative voices. And I was blown away at that work through the lens of their creativity using our product, and just sort of seeing the richness of culture that they brought into their work was also very inspirational for us.
Excellent.
Yeah, and talking about the shot on iPhone projects, and like I always try to talk to my community and show them how I use the iPhone to make my content, and always trying to be creative and how everyone can make a movie like the shot on iPhone and like very cool things. And many followers and friends and even family come to ask me if they should buy the iPhone 16, and I always tell them all the reasons to try to convince them.
Thank you.
But you being the VP of this iPhone product, how would you summarize the impact of the iPhone 16 on the daily life of someone who buys it compared to maybe a previous model, or what would you say to those who are interested in buying the iPhone 16?
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a few things that really define this family of iPhones this year. One of them does start with our Apple Silicon with A18, because this is like an investment for the future, right? It's giving you this powerful performance today and the longevity going forward for all your needs, right? And this is the thing in your life that is arguably one of the most important things that you own. It's so important in your life, so you should have something that's going to give you more capability and future proofing. So A18 is something that delivers that. The camera obviously is so much more versatile than cameras of the past, and depending on where they're coming from, you can do even more powerful things, more creative things, and all your photos and videos are going to sound better. That's important. Battery life is an everyday thing. We've made lots of leaps. You're going to get hours more of battery life with the iPhone 16 family. And then, of course, all of this design and chipset ladders up into this foundation that's built for Apple Intelligence. And with so much coming, that's going to unlock even more productivity, creativity, very integrated into your personal life, and staying private. That's going to be so impactful. And so we think it's a great opportunity to come on board to the iPhone 16 family.
Cool. The battery life, for me specifically, I've enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Excellent.
I went this year with the Pro model, not the Pro Max. And it has great battery, and I've enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and then you've got the camera, the 5X tele also, and that's been a great thing.
Yeah, also for me, like sometimes I go to like red carpets. I was in the Emmys like
very nice.
A few months ago, and I record these videos with my iPhone.
Yeah.
And it was interesting how I used this iPhone and my battery life lasted all the red carpet.
Fantastic.
And it was incredible. Like I wasn't afraid of maybe getting to meet somebody and didn't have battery. So
I love that you're saying that. I'm glad that's been your experience. When we think about how we can enable our creative community with the features we have, your mind instantly goes to things like camera, right? And so we've done a lot in camera and video, and even with like the audio features this year, I think are pretty mind-blowing. But it's also everyday things like durability, like battery life. You depend on this iPhone for so many things, and so you need that battery life benefit too.
Cool. I wanted to shift the conversation a little bit towards Apple Intelligence, because I know it's a big launch for Apple this year. We've been waiting to see what Apple has in store with generative AI and different models, text, image, Recently, I think today was the launch of
18.2.
18.2, yeah, with image playground and
Genmoji.
Genmoji. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. For people in Mexico, I heard that Spanish is coming in 2025.
That's right.
So we're excited
Yep.
for that. But specifically about Apple Intelligence, I wanted to ask, it's changing how we interact with the iPhone. And I've noticed Apple's approach to AI, it feels friendlier than other systems. And for me personally, how do you maintain that sense of warmth and user centricity in communicating these features, especially when artificial intelligence can sometimes feel abstract or even scary at some times?
Sure. Well, a lot of us in the tech community, we are more familiar with these terms, but a lot of people in the world, are not yet familiar with the concept of AI or what it means for them. And so we've been on this journey to help people understand how it can be incredibly impactful in your life, but also, as you said, not intimidating. And the beauty of it is that we've designed it to be so integrated into the familiar apps that you use every day. So whether you're just taking a quick note, you're writing an email, or you're thinking about going through your long inbox of messages, like we are meeting you where you are, right? And it's not like you have to think very hard about, now I'm going to use Apple Intelligence. It's like, here it is. Here's a writing tool. Wow, it can help me be more friendly, more concise. Or, I'm trying to communicate this thought. Well, I can actually, here's where I typically access my emojis. I'm going to just go to describe something, right? And so we wanted to make sure it was accessible to people in this way that we find more impactful because it's integrated into your everyday and with personal context and keeping that privacy. That's where we see a lot of our education is helping people understand that this is Apple Intelligence and it's going to be great for you as well. And it doesn't have to be something that you have to go learn and be intimidated by.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I have a lot of pictures and photos that I don't know, like 136,000. So I know it's going to help me a lot to
find things, right?
Things, yeah, for my storytelling.
And with cleanup, you can now edit subjects that are far away and clean up those photos and make them look really, really cool. And I also, from a marketing perspective, I think it's genius that AI, it's Apple Intelligence. I don't know if that was intentional, but it's really cool.
Well, it's hopefully easy to remember. It's Apple Intelligence.
Apple Intelligence, nice. And I just wanted to ask, how have you been using Apple Intelligence? What is maybe your favorite feature, or how has it incorporated into your workflow?
Yeah. So Genmoji is probably my favorite, just because it's so fun, right? And everyone in their personal life has the things. They're always sending pictures. Something for me, it's my dog. So I'm like finding fun Genmojis related to my dog and my family. But practically, I think in a productivity sense, writing tools actually. I'm a decent writer, but I find it can help me be even better, right? It's just like sometimes I'll do the rewrite and see how it approached it. I was like, that's actually, I think that's clearer than what I did. Or I often in work have to write these, summarize complex ideas, and then the concise helps me crystallize to what are the key points and, put a finer point in how I think about it. So I think, people, it doesn't have to be like, you need it because you're maybe not a good writer, maybe English or whatever language is in your first language, but it can help everyday people improve. And I think there's a joy in seeing that, hey, we can all be learning and growing, and here's a great approachable tool that allows us to do that.
That's really cool. I've been using the cleanup feature a lot.
Okay, yep.
I find that really, really helpful, and the writing tools as well, specifically the summarize function. I think it's really cool because it's not only your writing. Like I can grab an article from Safari somewhere and summarize that in my notes and get like a quick glance. And I've been using that a lot, so I'm excited for
what kinds of things have you been cleaning up in photos?
It's mostly when I'm on trips and there's people in the background. You're usually at, I don't know, I had the amazing opportunity to go to the Paris Olympics.
Oh, wow.
And it was a really fun,
but crowded.
Yeah, but it's crowded, especially in the places where you want to take pictures.
Right.
So we're trying to get like not too many people in the background, and usually there's like one or two, and those are where we clean them up, and it's been helpful.
Great.
For that Instagram cleanliness.
Nice.
Okay, I think that was all the questions.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for your questions and the thoughtfulness behind them, and I really enjoyed speaking with you all.
No, thank you, Kaiann. It was really cool. Thank you for
the time. We'll do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
you, Sam. Thank you, Kaiann.
Acabamos de salir de la entrevista, güey. ¿Cómo la sentiste?
Estuvo muy buena, la
Estábamos
neta.
leve nerviosillos,
Sí,
pero...
sí. Digo algo, o sea, como que ella tiene una presencia que te hace sentir muy a gusto.
Sí.
O sea, como que sí está interesada en la plática, o al menos eso hace notar.
Sí.
Entonces, eso hace que al menos como que estés más cómodo, ¿no crees?
Sí, para mí es un momento importante porque entrevistar a un ejecutivo de Apple es algo, ¿no? O sea, no cualquiera, ¿no? Entonces nos preparamos ahí con las preguntas, le echamos ganas. Según yo nos salió bien, güey.
Sí, yo también. O sea, a ver, todos al final dijeron que todo chido. Me ha pasado en entrevistas que están todos callados, entonces ahí sabes que algo salió mal. Pero aquí
Tienes
no.
más experiencia ahí con Ariana Grande. No. Yo ahí la llevo todavía con las entrevistas, pero estuvo chido.
No, estuvo muy bien, la neta.
No, gracias por acompañarme, qué chido, estuvo muy chido.